it's a year and a half now since I've had the operation, and now I'm finding that I've pretty well moderated what I can and can't eat. So, like, I eat a lot of seafood still, but I'm finding that raw seafood suits me better. Let's look at what you've got in your cupboard and look at how we can use it in a different way. So it's not so much about saying you can't, it's about how can I and how can I enjoy this when I'm doing that. Smell that, smell all that kind of thing. Okay, I'm going to tip that stuff back in here, because again, what I want to get out of this stuff is that combination of flavours. The food experience is about the food, but it's also about all the other things that go with it, and nothing's in isolation from each other. I mean, usually with fish you might have white wine, but I prefer red wine, so I'll keep that for me if you prefer white wine.
Yes, please.
And of course, like I watch that thing, you're supposed to put your hand behind there, and I'll have some Merlot.
He hapaka tēnei, he tarakihi tēnei, he salmon tēnei. I would never have thought to eat white fish without onions, coconut cream and tomatoes. But that's really nice.
You know what we're like when we eat raw fish, eh? Just hoe it down. Yeah.
That's right.
And you're making sure that you're going to get a second feed out of the bowl.
Yep.
So I mean that's just a different way of approaching our food. And I mean, I guess in the old days, you know, we used to have to wait till the elders were fed. And nowadays, it's even though on the marae and stuff, you still see people and they load their plates up. Half the food gets thrown out, that sort of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So this stuff, you know, you can put just enough on. I mean, even for one person, this is quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because this is like an entree. Like for me, this is almost like a main meal now, and I can just eat that and really, really enjoy it with a glass of wine. And I mean, I couldn't eat that and that. Because like that's a big meal, eh? It's really important that like you train your mind to think differently again, and like eat less, but eat quality food. You know, like that's 3 segments of a tail. And you know, how often have you sat down for a feed of crayfish and only eat that little amount?
Well, it stays on my chopsticks, so I'm biting it. Yeah.
All right.
Titiro ki te tepu, kaore kau he raihi, he taiwa, he paraua, he tote rānei.
Potatoes is a form of carbohydrates, which is a form of glucose. And the reason, like one of the reasons that I had the operation was I saw myself diabetes setting in, like type 2 diabetes. And of course with diabetes, the amount of glucose you take in affects directly your blood sugar levels. So, I mean, this stuff here is not going to affect it greatly, whereas if I was eating potatoes with this, I mean, that's like virtually eating glucose, but in the form of a carbohydrate.
Now, Terry, your job involves a lot of travel, you know, you're a busy man. How do you maintain your lifestyle?
I don't know the answer to that one. I mean, you just got to do it. Prior to having my operation, I actually found walking 100, 150 metres without puffing not difficult, but I knew I was puffing. But it was interesting, I'm just thinking back on it, like I used to, when my doctor would say, well, how are you with exercise? And I'd bullshit. I mean, you know, same as, maybe it's one of the things we do when you see your doctor, instead of telling him the truth, you tell him what he wants to hear.
Yeah.
Or what you want him to hear. So, yeah, I mean, I really struggled walking, and now, like, I can walk 5Ks and hardly get a puff up. But I'm not sprinting. I mean, that's just at a good, fast-paced walk.
Okay.
So, like, on the track around Tolaga here, I do that 5K walk that they do at Par Wars. And I do it on a fairly regular basis. And sometimes, you know, I try and cut the time down I do it in. So, started off at about an hour, and now I get it down to about 50 minutes. And that's a pretty good walk, and I enjoy it, you know. And then I play squash and stuff now as well, which is another added bonus, because I never thought I would ever play squash again when I was overweight, when I was quite obese. So for me, that's a huge positive. live my life to the full. I run, I play squash, I'm full of energy. I'm going to be around here for quite a while. Hey, I got a kickstart, and I was fortunate that I had enough money in the bank to be able to pay for my own operation.
The way things were going for him in 2003, he was at his lowest. I think he wouldn't be here. He would have been. I reckon he would have died in 2004.
At this stage, this has been very successful. So people say to me, hey, you're looking really good. You've done extremely well. But, you know, I haven't done it in isolation. I've done it with the support of my family, the support of my friends, the support of my work colleagues, everyone who I work and relate with. I mean, I've always told them the truth straight up. I had an operation, this is why I had it, and I feel really good because of that.
We always knew that he wanted to lose the weight. We always knew that he wanted to do more for his sons, because he had one here and one in Auckland. We knew that there was more to him, because he at the time, he didn't have a partner, and we knew that he wanted to have a partner, and he wanted to enjoy things, and he wanted to keep up with everybody else.
I guess like one of the targets when I looked at this operation was, in my head I had this thing, I would love to be able to wear a suit that looks nice. I really like the pinstripe stuff here. And the image you show to those other people is part of what you're selling, you know. So as part of Ngāti Pro Hauora, I need to be selling a healthy look, a good look, and role modelling look sort of stuff. So, I mean, in terms of all that stuff, it feels really good. I haven't been able to take full advantage of who I am for the last, say, 30-odd years. So that's an important part, you know. Now I can participate more fully in society. So now I'm doing things by design. I'm actually mapping my own future by the actions that I'm doing.
Ka pai Terry ka mihi atu ki a koe. Ko whiwhi nei koe I tō warrant of fitness. Tātou katoa, whakaro hia he hana kai tika kia kai. Kia korikori nei I a tātou tinana kia ora. He nui na mahi ka tae e tātou kia mutu tērā tūmomo mate te momona rawa. Engari mena ka pirangi koe ki te kōrero mō tēnei tūmomo pukatikanga, haere koe ki te kōrero ki tō tākuta. Taku mōhi o kare tino nui nā pukatinana ka utua e te kāwanatanga I tēnei wā, engari ka tika kia kōrero koe ki tō tākuta. Hoia no tātou, maumahara tātou ki tērā kōrero, tama tū, tama ora, tama noho, tama mate.
Before I'd cook a whole frying pan full. And, you know, that'd just stay there till it was all gone.
Yeah.
Maybe not in one feed, but it'll be dinner,
until it's all gone.
Dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if I cook one meal, it's the one meal. And it's about stopping when you've had enough. And that's something, I guess, in the past, like, because my stomach's now only little, you have to stop because there's nowhere else for it to go.
He mea tautoko na te manga.